Election night 2023 is well underway. Polls are now closed in several key states where close races could serve as maybe a small preview of coming attractions for the 2024 election.
Well,
he lost both. What an epic failure.
Well, that was all a shock. They did have the House, and they lost both.
Democrats continue to overperform in the Biden era. There are a lot of them, deeply conservative people that are coming around to the idea that Donald Trump loses himself elections and he loses the people that he endorses.
Well, they took the House in 2000, right?
2020.
20, yeah. 2020.
That was your red wave. Remember when you said, I'm getting a 40-seat wave, and then you got 3 seats and a George Santos?
Damn! 3 seats and a George Santos. That sounds like a terrible cover band. As Republicans struggle to come to terms with their insatiable losing ability.
As far as, it does seem like the Republican Party generally has a real problem with winning.
There's been various levels of denial across the board. Most of which appears on Fox, but we expected that.
Well, number one, incumbents that are popular are going to win. Number two, Republicans can't keep stumbling and bumbling on abortion. And number three, we can't keep losing close races.
But that's a tough state to win in, though, because you have equal amount of Republicans and Democrats. And when we went there, when Governor Youngkin was running, I remember people were really angry. They did not want him to win on the Democratic side. We were standing outside of a grocery store asking people as they came out, either they loved him or they were completely against him.
Number one, a poll can look good for you, but that doesn't mean you're going to be victorious. We've seen this time and time again. Republicans, I would argue, have not had a good night. Message for Democrats, though, after last night, you won in spite of Joe Biden, not because of Joe Biden. In a Politico playbook, they're saying that they're celebrating in Wilmington, Delaware. Do that at your own peril.
None more so than Fox News The 5 host, Jesse Waters. He's a usual suspect in downplaying Democratic victories. But, well, he had the unfortunate responsibility of being sat right next to liberal voice of sanity Jessica Tarlov as they discussed the recent election. Well, she pulled no punches while describing the recent Republican disaster.
Pot.
And pot. Abortion, cash,
Don't
and pot.
forget about our marijuana. No, that's not the only story. The main headline is Democrats continue to overperform in the Biden era. It's just, you can't dispute it. It is blowing the polling out of the water. Republicans haven't really had a good showing since Trump won in 2016. And they really, and I know that there are a lot of them, deeply conservative people that are coming around to the idea that Donald Trump loses himself elections and he loses the people that he endorses.
Well, they took the House in 2000, right?
2020.
20, yeah.
By 3 seats. So remember it was 2022.
16.
That was your red wave. Remember when you said, I'm getting a 40-seat wave, and then you got 3 seats and a George Santos?
Oh, don't remind me.
Okay. Anyway.
Now, either he's a glutton for punishment, or his mom, who we know is quite the lib, is forcing him to sit next to Jessica Tarlov in order to get an earful of knowledge.
Now let's aim to have you keep your job. And to that end, I do have some suggestions.
Okay.
Do not tumble into any conspiracy rabbit holes. We do not want to lose you, and we want no lawsuit. There really has been enough Biden bashing, and the laptop is old. Perhaps you could suggest that your people take less interest, for example, in other people's bodies.
But the key takeaway from Tarlov's point here is the elephant in the room that nobody else in Fox wants to discuss. Donald Trump, the ultimate loser in all of this. I mean, everything he's touched in the wake of his 2016 victory has turned sour. Something Republicans seem to have forgot, which is very unlikely. And it's more so the case that they've convinced themselves, out of fear, that he's not responsible, despite the fact that abortion was the main focus across the board, something that is well documented he takes credit for.
I did something that nobody thought was possible. I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
I'm going to be honest about this, and I consider myself pro-life, but I understand that's not where the country is. I would say first trimester or Dobbs 15 weeks seems to be where the country is, Kayleigh. I want to stay with you on this issue. And these issues will be decided by the states. You talked to the Speaker of the House. I talked to the Speaker of the House. It is not going to be an issue in the House of Representatives. This is not going to be decided any longer in Washington, D.C. The states will decide. So if states say that, okay, 15 weeks is the legal time period where women can have an abortion.
And there's no disputing the facts that Donald Trump is costing Republicans elections. His endorsements are the kiss of death.
And the GOP will not get out of their own way on this. They have found no avenue to talk about this like civilized people. 58% think the GOP is too extreme on this. And then you have the new speaker, Mike Johnson, sitting up there. He's the sponsor of no less than 3 bills that would make us have a national abortion ban. Andy Beshear was successful because he's a really good governor. Also, how he managed the floods in Kentucky was one of the main things that people supported him for. But his most effective ad was a young girl who was 12 years old when her stepfather impregnated her. She's just looking into the camera. She never mentions the word abortion. It's about freedom. It's about choice. And in the Ohio bill, it's a heartbeat bill, and it has no rape exception. On what planet do you think people are going to go for this? And this is women and men. It's not just women. 20% of Trump voters in Ohio voted to make sure abortion is legal. Glenn Youngkin did, I understand, Dana, you saying his messaging was better than others on this. Bans turn people off. You cannot talk about abortion in that way. Each pregnancy is so distinct and it is so difficult. You have pregnancies that are wanted that you lose. A majority of women who have abortions are people who've had kids before. It's part of family planning. So you look at that girl, 12 years old, the 10-year-old in Ohio, going to Indiana for health care, and Republicans will continue to lose on this.
Well, of course, unless your entire ideology is based on disputing facts.
We won in the last time 50 states. Think of it. 50 states. We won every state. We then did great in the election. We got 12 million more votes or so, 12 million more votes than we got the first time.
But it's costing the GOP dearly. And they still just bend the knee freely to Trump. They still coddle him. They still fail to condemn his inability to accept an election that countless court proceedings have proved time and time again was not stolen.
First of all, I won in 2020 by a lot, okay? That's cheating on the election.
You lost the 2020 election.
Brett.
There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with no evidence.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged.
Reviews
it was a
of
rigged
every
election.
potential case of voter fraud in 6 battleground states, and they found fewer than 475 cases.
You know why? Because they didn't
affected.
look at the right things.
Okay,
Brett.
are you?
But get him on the stage with a microphone and he'll still repeat the same lies. But yet you see articles about Biden's age and his inability to handle another term when this is the man he's up against. The man who's presented as the sharper alternative. I mean, are you kidding me? The man who doesn't know what city he's in? The man who thinks he's running against Obama?
Right, it's all coming through Iran, and Obama he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't even mention them in his statements. It's all coming through Iran.
Well, you mean President Biden?
This is the cognitively sound candidate. I mean, let's be frank, Joe. I'm not here to offer Republicans advice. Go ahead. Please keep doing what you're doing. But don't get mad when people lament you, rightfully so, as being in some sort of cult.
Little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. Mm-hmm. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure.
But I really need everyone to spare me the faux outrage and the pearl clutching about this.
Because when you fail to acknowledge the lies and manipulation of your fearless leader who is costing you dearly, and you still hang your hat on his every word and come back to him time and time again with the expectation that, well, maybe the next election will be different.
Vivek, you said Republicans lost in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023 under Ronna McDaniel, and you named her. But Trump was the leader of the party through those elections. Doesn't he share some responsibility for the losses?
I mean, not in 2022 or 2023, Stuart. I think we've gotten into the bad habit of somehow pinning the tail on one man, that's Donald Trump. And I think that there's a deeper issue. The Republican Party, we need to define who we are and what we actually stand for.
That is not only the definition of insanity, it's a cult.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.